Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. It ain't your boy and it is your man, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media. Signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the cuss word share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Listen, understand that back stateside, there's a whole lot of revelation, you could say, if you want to call it that, not in terms of divine revelation, but there is this understanding now amongst a lot of ladies, a growing number of ladies, that they can't have it all and they never could. It was never an option. It's true, they can't, and that is because no one can have it all and no one can be it all to offer to someone else anyway. That's not any particular person's fault. Allah has reserved perfection for himself, and that's normal. I mean, what else would you expect a deity to do? But there are going to be those who are going to try to flip this on you, gentlemen. Say, well, you can't have it all either. Remember this, gentlemen. Nobody has ever had to yank most men out of the fantasy of being able to have it all. Any man legally old enough to work in any Western country, likewise, is old enough to know that we can't have it all. But that's not all. They're going to use that true statement. As I've said before, a lot of times people will tell you true statements for false reasons. Assalamu alaikum. They're going to use that true statement for the purpose of refusing to be even 2 out of 3. You know, we say 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And they are insisting on hardly even being 1 out of 3. When they come with this retort, neither can you have it all, you say, yeah, we never thought we could. But let's take 2 out of 3. Basic, not bad luck. The looks that at least you individually would want that lady to have, and the attitude that any man would want her to have in order to stay with her, form the 3. And what many of them are saying is, if we have 2, we're going to get rid of 1, just on general principle. And that's why I say, even as they realize this in the West, don't drop your guard. My wife's friend and my wife and I had dinner yesterday. And my wife's friend, a Muslima from the United States, a sister, said, you know what I miss, Black, about being married? I said, what's that? She said, I miss the way you men argue. I miss arguing with y'all. She was dead serious. And I had to tell my wife something. And I have to remind her because I got interrupted in the process of telling my wife later on. But I had to tell my wife something. I had to say to my wife, don't let that ever sound normal to you. But the thing is, see, I had to explain. Well, I have to explain more, but I want y'all to keep this in mind. Because you see, tonight at dinner, the 3 of us went and ate, and she said that she had to realize she had been through some nigger trauma, plantation trauma passed on in the form of culture, which we would simply call disciplining children or correcting their behavior. And granted, I do believe in disciplining kids, but what I want you to understand and keep in mind is that she was confessing that there were certain things we were just going to have to stop doing in the name of culture. So get this. She said that what got her to think about that was when she noticed me saying to my wife on more than one occasion, that's not your fault. See, everybody worries about some things that aren't their fault, beyond their control, aren't their responsibility. Everyone does. But what she heard me say to my wife several times when my wife would worry about stuff like this was, it ain't your fault, so don't worry about it. Traffic, well, the traffic's not your fault, so don't worry about it. Well, I wanted to do this, but they changed the price or they changed the schedule at the last minute. They did that? Oh, well, then it wasn't your fault. Don't worry about it. And she brought something to my attention. Black folk in general don't generally say to each other, this ain't your fault, so don't worry about it. But we men have a tendency to say this to women that we like. Women, sisters, looking at black men that they like don't have the same tendency to say this when they like the man. Now, I've had to understand, and I've got to digest what BGS recently uploaded about the fact that they just simply don't want us. That was a hard thing for me to understand, but I mean, it's not, I shouldn't even say hard to understand. Well, yeah, it kind of is hard to understand and to digest. It explains a lot. But what I'm going to say to you all is that I have to understand, and you have to understand, that even when they see a man they somewhat want, they don't say this, well, that's not your fault, you had no control. They say that to the men who need to hear it the most, that, well, this was your fault, or that was your fault. Anyway, don't let them retort with, well, you can't have it all either. Only because, one, although that's a true statement, it's not something you need to hear from them, because all they're really saying is, I refuse to be even 2 out of 3. That's all they're saying. And that's because, as what BGS said, they don't want you. They don't want me. They don't want one of our own that's walking past me on my left side right now. They don't want us. I'm not really sure how much they want that mayonnaise guy, but it seems like they've wanted him more than what they've let on. That's a hard thing for us to be sure is true. But I've had to understand, no, you know what that actually is. It explains a lot. It explains why it is that in my experience, they don't want men my shade, but then some of you brothers that are abundantly melanated have been told that you were too well melanated, even after the 1990s. Why is that? Because they don't want us. So they'll tell you that you are too much or too little of anything. So there's just a few brothers out there they want. But what they really want is that mayonnaise guy. And you know, really all the Western women, white and black alike, tend to want whatever it is that they don't see their men having. That's what they tend to look for. And the sister, well, she sees that we don't have wealth and power and social standing, and so that's what they're blaming us for not having. And, you know, the mayonnaise mafiosa is looking at her man and saying, well, you don't have the testosterone and the machismo, even if he does. So they blame him for not having that. And each one wants to replace what they got with the other. And so when either one of them, when any Western woman, white or black, says to you, well, you can't have it all either, sir, just understand what they mean versus, and the difference between that and what the actual truth is that God himself has created. They don't mean, well, I'm limited because I'm human. What they mean is, I'm going to, out of bitterness, be artificially limited because I'm bitter. That's what they mean. I hope this helps you. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual, non-select male power, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.